The first warning came not with a thunderous roar, but with a whisper of static across global communication networks. At 3:47 hours GMT, the sky above New York City transformed from inky darkness to an impossible shade of obsidian, punctuated by massive geometric shapes that defied human understanding of aerodynamics. Admiral Elena Rodriguez was already awake when the first reports streamed in. Her quarters at the North American Unified Defense Command were Spartan, lined with holographic displays that now flickered with incoming data. She watched, her dark eyes narrowing, as satellite imagery revealed what humanity had long speculated but never truly believed. We were not alone, and we were definitely not prepared. The alien vessels weren't sleek or graceful. They were brutal geometric constructs, massive tetrahedral ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Each vessel was easily the size of Manhattan, blocking out stars and casting impossible shadows across continents. Their arrival was surgical, calculated, with a precision that suggested centuries of planned invasion. In Tokyo, Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka was presenting a routine meteorological conference when the first energy weapon struck. The beam, if it could be called something so primitive, simply erased 6 city blocks. No explosion, no shockwave, just instantaneous disintegration. One moment, a bustling urban landscape existed. The next, nothing remained but a perfectly cauterized void. Military responses were futile from the first moment. F-35 fighters scrambled from bases across the globe, found their systems completely neutralized before they could even arm their weapons. Missile defense systems went dark. Communication networks collapsed like house of cards. The invasion wasn't just an attack. It was a comprehensive dismantling of human technological infrastructure. Supreme Commander Krasnak watched from the command deck of the primary invasion vessel. Humanoid, but not human. His species had evolved beyond simple biological constraints. Multiple eyes, each a complex network of sensory inputs, scanned tactical displays that showed the systematic destruction of human defensive capabilities. Minimal resistance, he noted to his second-in-command. Estimated planetary submission, 97.3 standard cycles. What Krasnak didn't see was the human capacity for survival that no computational model could predict. In an underground research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team of scientists and military strategists watched the global feed. Dr. Marcus Chen, a brilliant xenotechnology expert, gripped the edge of a console. His fingers, scared from years of experimental work, traced the alien ship's energy signatures. "They're not just attacking," he muttered. "They're studying us." Beside him, a young technician named Sarah Martinez watched cities vanish. Her hands, trembling initially, began to steady. "We're not done," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. Across the world, in moments of unprecedented destruction, something profound was happening. Governments were falling. Militaries were being obliterated. Civilizations were being erased. But human spirit, that indefinable, unpredictable force, was beginning to stir. The invasion wasn't just about territorial conquest. It was a test, a challenge thrown down by a cosmic civilization that believed it understood every possible strategic outcome. They were about to learn how wrong they were. As the first wave of destruction settled, survivors emerged from the dust and chaos, not with surrender, but with a growing realization. Humanity's greatest weapon had always been its ability to adapt, to fight when all hope seemed lost. The war for Earth and the cosmos was just beginning. The underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains became humanity's last hope. What had once been a classified research center now transformed into the nerve center of global resistance. Banks of salvaged computer equipment lined concrete walls, their blue-white screens casting an ethereal glow on the faces of survivors. Dr. Marcus Chen moved between workstations like a conductor orchestrating a desperate symphony. His hands, calloused from years of experimental work, danced across keyboards and holographic interfaces. Beside him, A team of the world's most brilliant minds worked with a fury born of absolute necessity. "We're not just fighting," Chen muttered. "We're dissecting their entire technological paradigm." Commander Sarah Williams entered the command center, her military fatigues dusty from weeks of ground reconnaissance. A long scar ran along her jawline, a memento from her first encounter with alien ground troops. Where most saw defeat, she saw an opportunity. "We've got movement in the Chicago sector," she reported, pointing to a tactical display. Fragments of human resistance were emerging, small pockets of survivors who refused to become statistical casualties. The AI system, Genesis, hummed to life. Unlike traditional computer systems, Genesis was something entirely new, a quantum neural network that learned and adapted with terrifying speed. Its primary display showed a constantly shifting map of global resistance points, each node representing a potential strike against the alien occupation. "Computational analysis complete," Genesis announced, its voice a perfect blend of human inflection and machine precision. "Alien technological systems demonstrate remarkable efficiency but possess critical systemic vulnerabilities." Dr. Chen leaned closer to the display. "Show me." Holographic projections revealed the alien technological infrastructure, a complex network that looked more like a living organism than a mechanical system. Intricate energy pathways, communication nodes, and computational matrices danced before their eyes. "They've optimized for predictability," Chen observed. "Every system is designed to respond in the most statistically probable manner, but humanity, we're anything but predictable." Across the globe, similar scenes of resistance were unfolding. In the ruins of Mumbai, a group of engineers cannibalized alien technological debris, creating makeshift communication networks. In the Brazilian rainforest, indigenous communities who had survived centuries of invasion used their deep understanding of adaptation to hide and resist. Commander Williams brought up a series of reconnaissance images. "Look at their deployment patterns. Systematic, predictable. They believe they've already won." Genesis interjected. "Probability of complete human extinction, 94.7%. A tense silence filled the room. Then, unexpectedly, Dr. Chen started laughing. "That means we have a 5.3% chance, and those are odds we can work with." The plan began to take shape. They wouldn't fight the aliens with conventional warfare. They would turn the aliens' strengths into weaknesses. Every captured piece of technology became a potential weapon. Every survivor was a potential strategist. Outside the facility, the world looked broken. Cities reduced to rubble, landscapes scorched by alien energy weapons. But inside this underground sanctuary, something remarkable was happening. Humanity was learning how to fight back. Commander Williams looked at the team. Scientists, former military personnel, survivors from all walks of life. "We're going to make them regret ever choosing Earth as their target." Genesis displays flickered. Tactical simulations ran at impossible speeds. Alien invasion protocols were being dissected, analyzed, prepared to be subverted. The resistance had begun. The breakthrough came on a Tuesday, in the kind of moment that would later be remembered as the turning point of humanity's greatest war. Dr. Marcus Chen stood before a dissected alien communication node, its crystalline structure pulsing with an otherworldly light. Surrounding him were fragments of technology that would have seemed like pure magic just months ago. Scattered research teams from around the world had been sending their most bizarre discoveries to this underground facility, each piece a puzzle waiting to be solved. "It's not just a communication system," Chen muttered, his fingers tracing the node's intricate pathways. "It's a living algorithm." Genesis, the AI system, projected holographic representations of the alien tech. Millions of computational threads analyzed every microscopic detail. Where human researchers would have spent years, Genesis worked in milliseconds, finding patterns invisible to organic perception. Commander Sarah Williams watched from the command center, a half-empty coffee mug forgotten in her hand. The facility buzzed with an electric tension. Hope was a dangerous thing in times like these, but hope was exactly what filled the air. The key revelation wasn't in the technology's strength, but in its fundamental weakness. The alien systems were designed for absolute efficiency, which meant they were fundamentally rigid. They could adapt, but only within predetermined parameters. Humanity's strength had always been its ability to be completely, gloriously unpredictable. "We're going to weaponize chaos," Chen announced to the assembled team. The first prototype looked nothing like a weapon. It was a small device, no larger than a smartphone, with a complex network of quantum processors and adaptive neural interfaces. Genesis had helped design it, a chaos module that could infiltrate and destabilize alien communication networks. Initial tests were promising. When introduced to captured alien communication systems, the device began to do something the aliens had never encountered. It learned, mutated, and responded in ways that defied all predictive algorithms. In the communication center, a young technician named Maria Rodriguez watched lines of code dance across her screens. Her fingers moved with a musician's precision, introducing subtle variations that would make a traditional computer crash, but somehow made this new system stronger. "It's like teaching a computer to lie," she explained to her colleagues. But not just lie, to believe its own lies. The first field test came unexpectedly. A small resistance group in the ruins of Chicago managed to deploy one of the chaos modules near an alien patrol route. The results were spectacular. Alien communication systems began to receive conflicting information. Patrol routes twisted into nonsensical patterns. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens looked confused. Genesis calculated the potential impact. Probability of system disruption, 63.4%, and rising. Commander Williams allowed herself a small smile. "We're not just fighting back. We're rewriting the rules of engagement." The Chaos modules were more than just a technological marvel. They represented a fundamental human approach to problem solving. Creative, unpredictable, refusing to be constrained by existing paradigms. Dr. Chen looked at the device, understanding that they had created something more than a weapon. This was a statement, a declaration that humanity would not be defined by the limitations others placed upon them. "We're going to turn their own technology against them," he said quietly, "and they won't see it coming." The first wave of true resistance was about to begin. The city of Chicago had become a living battlefield, a labyrinth of destruction that would become legendary in the annals of human resistance. Commander Sarah Williams moved like a ghost through the urban landscape, her team of specially trained operatives, turning the ruined metropolis into a psychological warfare playground. Their primary weapon wasn't a gun or an explosive device. It was something far more potent: unpredictability. Genesis had developed a series of tactical protocols that defied every known principle of military engagement. Holographic decoys appeared and disappeared, creating impossible scenarios for the alien ground forces. Communication networks were hijacked, filled with contradictory information that made alien tactical responses increasingly erratic. In one city block, a group of resistance fighters used salvaged alien technology to create impossible illusions. Buildings seemed to shift, streets rearranged themselves, and tactical patterns became a nightmare of impossible geometry. The aliens' hyper-rational systems began to break down when confronted with scenarios that violated their fundamental understanding of spatial and tactical logic. "We're not just fighting," Williams would later explain. "We're dismantling their entire concept of warfare." Deep within the underground command center, Dr. Marcus Chen worked on the next generation of psychological warfare tools. Captured alien neural interface technology was being repurposed, turned from a tool of invasion into a weapon of mental disruption. Their entire military structure is based on predictive algorithms, Chen explained to the team. They approach conflict like a mathematical equation, but human conflict, it's an art form. Genesis calculated and recalculated potential scenarios millions of times per second. Each calculation revealed new layers of potential psychological manipulation. The AI had begun to understand something profound about human nature, the ability to find opportunity in chaos. A resistance team in the Brazilian rainforest demonstrated this perfectly. Using a combination of local environmental knowledge and the chaos modules, they created a series of tactical illusions that made alien patrol units believe they were moving in circles. Entire alien squadrons would march for days, believing they were making strategic advances, when in reality, they were going nowhere. Krasnak, the alien supreme commander, began to receive increasingly bizarre reports from his ground forces, tactical units reporting impossible scenarios, communication networks showing conflicting information. For the first time, the concept of uncertainty began to creep into the alien military's consciousness. "This is impossible," one alien tactical officer reported. "The human response patterns do not conform to any known strategic model." The psychological warfare wasn't just about military advantage. It was about breaking the alien understanding of humanity itself. In the ruins of Mumbai, a group of resistance fighters used ancient cultural performance techniques, shadow plays, elaborate street performances, intricate misdirection, to confuse and misdirect alien ground patrols. What seemed like random acts of rebellion were carefully orchestrated psychological operations. Genesis tracked the results. With each operation, the alien tactical efficiency dropped. Their computational systems, designed for absolute predictability, began to show signs of what could only be described as confusion. Commander Williams stood before a holographic map of global resistance activities. Each point of resistance was no longer just a defensive position. They were psychological pressure points, designed to unravel the alien military's fundamental understanding of conflict. "We're going to make them fear the very concept of fighting humans," she said quietly. The psychological war had begun, and humanity was just getting started. The global counterattack began with a symphony of chaos. Simultaneously across 6 continents, human resistance cells launched coordinated strikes that defied every conventional understanding of military engagement. In the ruins of New York, Chicago, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, Cairo, and Sydney, the remnants of humanity demonstrated a tactical brilliance that would forever change the nature of interstellar conflict. Dr. Marcus Chen stood in the underground command center, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Each movement activated layers of carefully constructed tactical protocols developed by Genesis. The AI system had become more than a computational tool. It was the central nervous system of human resistance. "Initiating quantum disruption sequence," Chen muttered. The first wave of attacks targeted the aliens' most critical vulnerability, their interconnected technological infrastructure. Chaos modules developed in the Rocky Mountain facility began to propagate through alien communication networks like a sentient virus. Where traditional cyberattacks would have been detected and neutralized, these modules adapted, learned, and mutated in real time. Commander Sarah Williams led the ground operations. Her teams moved like liquid through urban landscapes, striking with a precision that seemed to defy the laws of tactical engagement. Each attack was a carefully choreographed dance of misdirection and strategic brilliance. In the skies above major cities, captured and repurposed alien vessels began to dance their own impossible ballet. These ships, modified by human engineers, used the aliens' own technological principles against them. Energy weapons redirected, defensive systems turned into offensive capabilities. The very tools of invasion were being transformed into instruments of liberation. Genesis calculated and projected potential outcomes with terrifying speed. Probability of systemic alien military collapse increasing exponentially, the AI announced. Krasnak watched from his command vessel, his multiple sensory inputs struggling to process the unprecedented tactical scenario. Human resistance was no longer just resistance. It had become something entirely new. The living, breathing tactical organism that refused to be categorized or predicted. "This is impossible," his second-in-command reported, translating the confusion into the alien communication protocol. "Their tactical responses violate every known principle of warfare." The truly revolutionary aspect of the human counterattack wasn't its destructive potential, it was its adaptive nature. Each alien defensive response was immediately analyzed, understood, and subverted. Cities became living battlegrounds where every street, every building was a potential weapon. Dr. Chen's team had developed what they called adaptive camouflage technology. Resistance fighters could now blend into urban environments with a technological sophistication that made traditional stealth look primitive. Buildings themselves became weapons, their very structures capable of reconfiguring to provide tactical advantages. In the Brazilian rainforest, indigenous resistance fighters combined ancient survival techniques with cutting-edge technological adaptations. They used local environmental knowledge to create tactical scenarios that completely baffled alien ground forces. Entire alien squadrons found themselves lost in landscapes that seemed to shift and change around them. The psychological impact was as significant as the military one. Alien forces, once confident in their technological superiority, now found themselves questioning every tactical assumption. Their rigid computational systems began to show signs of what could only be described as fear. "We're not just fighting," Commander Williams told her team. "We're rewriting the entire concept of conflict." Genesis projected the evolving tactical map. What had once been small resistance points now looked like a living, breathing network of strategic brilliance. Humanity was no longer just surviving, it was fighting back. The tide was turning, and the cosmos was about to witness something unprecedented. The Galactic Hegemony's central command trembled, not from physical vibration, but from a cascading system of existential doubt. Supreme Commander Krasnak stared at the holographic displays, his multiple sensory inputs struggling to process the unprecedented tactical scenario unfolding across Earth. Humanity had transformed from a target of invasion to something far more dangerous, a fundamental challenge to the hegemony's entire understanding of civilization. Tactical systems compromised, his primary computational interface reported. The words seemed to carry a weight of disbelief previously unknown in the alien communication protocols. Ambassador Michael Rodriguez arrived at the underground command center with a data package that would change everything. A brilliant diplomatic strategist, he understood that this war would be won not just through military might, but through a complete reimagining of interstellar engagement. Dr. Marcus Chen and Commander Sarah Williams gathered around as the data unfolded. Genesis, the AI system, began processing information at speeds that made traditional quantum computing look primitive. "They're more than just a military threat," Rodriguez explained. "We're demonstrating a fundamental flaw in their entire cosmic understanding." The human resistance had discovered something profound about the galactic hegemony. Their technological supremacy was built on a critical assumption: that predictability was the ultimate form of advanced civilization. Humanity proved that true advancement came from adaptability, creativity, and the ability to find opportunity in chaos. Each captured alien technology became a window into their systemic thinking. Their communication networks, their military protocols, their entire social structure, all were built on a mathematical model of absolute control. Humanity's resistance was a living virus in their computational worldview. Genesis began to synthesize a comprehensive analysis. The AI projected holographic representations of alien tactical systems, showing how each human intervention created exponentially expanding points of failure. What the aliens saw as a simple planetary invasion, humans saw as an opportunity for total systemic disruption. Commander Williams pointed to a series of tactical projections. "We're not just fighting," she said. "We're teaching them an entirely new way of understanding conflict." The psychological warfare had reached its most critical stage. Alien ground forces began to experience what could only be described as existential uncertainty. Their rigid computational systems, designed for absolute predictability, started to show signs of what might be interpreted as fear. Dr. Chen's team had developed what they called cognitive dissonance modules, technological tools designed to introduce fundamental uncertainty into alien computational systems. These weren't just weapons, They were philosophical interventions. In the orbital spaces above Earth, captured and repurposed alien vessels began to move in patterns that defied all known principles of space engagement. Each maneuver was a mathematical impossibility, a living demonstration of human innovative potential. Krasnak received reports that challenged the very foundation of the hegemony's understanding. Entire military squadrons reporting impossible scenarios, communication networks showing contradictory information. The concept of uncertainty had infected their most fundamental systems. "This is beyond warfare," Ambassador Rodriguez said quietly. "This is a total reimagining of cosmic interaction." Genesis calculated the expanding probability matrix. The chance of human survival had transformed from a desperate 5.3% to something far more significant. The resistance was no longer just fighting. It was fundamentally reshaping the understanding of what an advanced civilization could be. The galactic hegemony was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was never technology. It was the ability to transform the impossible into the inevitable. The transformation began in moments of absolute silence. After months of unprecedented conflict, the galactic hegemony's invasion force found itself at a complete standstill. Entire fleets sat motionless in Earth's orbit, their advanced systems paralyzed by a form of technological and philosophical intervention that defied all known principles of warfare. Ambassador Michael Rodriguez stood before the collected representatives of what remained of human government and military leadership. His presentation was more than a strategic briefing. It was a declaration of a new cosmic order. "We're not just survivors," he announced. "We're architects of a fundamental reimagining of interstellar civilization." Genesis, the AI system that had become humanity's central nervous system, projected holographic representations of the conflict. Each visualization told a story more complex than simple military engagement. It showed how humanity had transformed the very concept of resistance into a living, adaptive philosophy. Dr. Marcus Chen moved between holographic displays, explaining the technological breakthroughs that had turned the tide. The chaos modules, cognitive dissonance systems, and adaptive camouflage technologies were more than weapons. They were a complete reimagining of technological interaction. Commander Sarah Williams represented the human spirit that had made victory possible. Her team of resistance fighters had become something more than a military unit. They were living proof of human potential. Each scar, each strategic victory told a story of adaptation, creativity, and unbreakable spirit. The captured alien technologies revealed something profound. The galactic hegemony's entire civilization was built on a fundamental misunderstanding of advanced intelligence. They had optimized for control, for predictability. Humanity demonstrated that true advancement came from chaos, from the ability to find opportunity in uncertainty. Genesis calculated and projected the broader implications. The conflict was no longer about survival. It was about redefining the very nature of cosmic civilization. Krasnak, the alien supreme commander, stood before the hegemony's central council. His report was unprecedented in the history of their civilization. Humanity was not just a species to be conquered. They were a fundamental challenge to everything the hegemony understood about intelligence, conflict, and civilization. "They do not think like us," Krasnak reported. "And that is precisely their greatest strength." The diplomatic negotiations that followed were unlike anything in cosmic history. Human representatives didn't seek conquest or revenge. They proposed a radical new model of interstellar cooperation based on adaptability, creativity, and mutual understanding. Dr. Chen's technologies became the foundation of a new interstellar communication protocol. The chaos modules that had been weapons of resistance now became tools of unprecedented cultural and technological exchange. Humanity had turned its greatest moment of potential extinction into an opportunity for cosmic transformation. Commander Williams looked out over the gathered representatives, human and alien alike. The scars of conflict were still fresh, but something more profound was emerging, a new understanding of what intelligent life could become. "We're not asking to be accepted," she said quietly. We're offering a new way of thinking about existence itself. Genesis processed the moment, calculating potential outcomes with its unprecedented computational capacity. The probability matrices showed something remarkable, not just survival, but the potential for a completely new form of cosmic civilization. The galactic hegemony was about to learn that the most advanced technology was never about control. It was about the capacity to transform. The chamber where representatives from 1,000 civilizations gathered was unlike any diplomatic space in cosmic history. Suspended in low orbit above a reconstructed Earth, the meeting hall represented more than a political gathering. It was a testament to humanity's impossible journey. Ambassador Michael Rodriguez stood at the center, no longer just a representative of Earth, but an architect of a new galactic paradigm. Behind him stood a diverse team that embodied humanity's greatest strength: Dr. Marcus Chen, Commander Sarah Williams, and the holographic presence of Genesis, the AI that had become more than a system. It was a bridge between species. "We are not here to seek revenge," Rodriguez began, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's transformation. "We are here to offer a new understanding of civilization itself." The representatives from the galactic hegemony, once conquerors, now listeners, struggled to process the fundamental shift. Krasnak, the supreme commander who had led the initial invasion, now sat as a witness to humanity's proposal. Genesis projected a holographic representation of the conflict, but it was unlike any military review in cosmic history. Each moment showed not destruction, but adaptation; not defeat, but transformation. The AI demonstrated how humanity's resistance was more than a military campaign. It was a living philosophy of survival and growth. Dr. Chen explained the technological breakthroughs that had emerged from the conflict. The Chaos modules, initially weapons of resistance, were now proposed as tools of unprecedented cross-species communication. Adaptive technologies that could bridge fundamental differences in perception and understanding. Commander Williams represented the human spirit that had made victory possible. Her presentation wasn't about military triumph, but about the fundamental human capacity to find opportunity in the most impossible circumstances. The captured alien technologies revealed a profound truth. The galactic hegemony had built its civilization on the principle of control and predictability. Humanity demonstrated that true advancement came from embracing uncertainty, from finding strength in diversity and unpredictability. "We're not asking to be accepted," Williams said. "We're offering a new way of understanding intelligence itself." The proposal was revolutionary, a new interstellar protocol that prioritized adaptability over control. Communication systems that could bridge fundamental differences in perception. A cosmic framework that saw diversity as strength, not a threat. Genesis calculated and projected potential outcomes with its unprecedented computational capacity. The probability matrices showed something remarkable, not just survival, but the potential for a completely new form of cosmic civilization. Representatives from dozens of species listened, some with skepticism, some with hope, but all understanding that something fundamental had changed. The Galactic Hegemony Central Council faced a choice that would define cosmic history. Humanity had not just survived an invasion. They had fundamentally challenged the entire concept of advanced civilization. "We offer not a treaty," Ambassador Rodriguez concluded, "but a new way of existing." Outside the diplomatic chamber, the reconstructed Earth served as a living testament to human resilience. Cities rebuilt, technologies adapted. A planet that had been on the brink of extinction now stood as a beacon of possibility. Krasnak, the alien commander who had once sought to destroy humanity, now understood something profound. Civilization was not about control. It was about the capacity to transform. The cosmos held its breath. A new chapter was about to begin.